Welcome to the Compass for Being Human, where we educate the ego, emotions, and philosophy for men. We often tell ourselves, I'm being logical, I'm not emotional. In many societies, especially for men, emotion has been framed as weakness and logic as strength. But what if that idea was backwards? What if our ability to think clearly, to make wise decisions, to act with purpose, depends not on ignoring emotion, but on understanding it? In this video, we're going to examine in 3 points how logic and emotion are not enemies, they belong together. We've inherited a myth. Logic sits on one side, emotion on the other. The stoic thinker versus the emotional and irrational. But neuroscience tells us something very different. Research on decision-making shows that emotion and cognition are deeply intertwined. One study observed that a region known as Brodmann Area 32 in the anterior cingulate cortex helps balance emotional and cognitive brain areas. Another review explains that when people have damage to brain areas that process emotion, their logic remains intact, yet their decisions become impaired. A man named Elliot, studied by Antonio Damasio, developed brain damage that stripped away his emotional responses. He could describe what was happening in his life, but he could not act. He couldn't make even simple decisions because the emotional signals that guide prioritization were gone. Logic without emotion isn't strength, it's stuckness. When many men say, I'm not emotional, I'm logical, they're often describing emotional suppression, not intellectual clarity. Why does this matter, especially for men? Because masculinity has often encouraged suppression. Don't cry, don't feel, don't sit with pain. But suppression doesn't lead to a calm, logical mind. It leads to disconnected behavior, reactive decisions, and missed potential. Logic isn't the rival of emotion. Emotion is the compass logic needs. If logic needs emotion, then one of the highest forms of emotion isn't outbursts or raw feelings. It's empathy. Empathy means being aware of what another person feels, understanding why they feel it, and responding in a regulated way. Studies show that emotional intelligence correlates strongly with positive outcomes, such as leadership effectiveness, relationship satisfaction, and conflict resolution. In contrast, higher cognitive ability without empathy can look like manipulation. A sociopath may appear highly logical, but is missing that emotional sense of connection and consequence. One study found that individuals with high psychopathic traits show reduced emotional empathy and emotional intelligence. Imagine a team meeting in which a manager dismissed a subordinate's nervousness about a project deadline. Stay logical, don't be upset, the manager says as he proceeds. The team member nods, hides their anxiety, and performance suffers. A different manager who acknowledges the anxiety and says, I hear it, let's talk about it, gets better cooperation, clearer outcomes, and fewer mistakes. This isn't soft, it's superior intelligence in action. Men often believe that emotional awareness is feminine, soft, or irrelevant. But empathy is not a girly trait, it's a strategic skill. A man who can sense the emotional undercurrents in his relationships, his workplace, his decisions, has a sharper, more robust intelligence than one who simply crushes emotion in the name of logic. Why do so many resist emotional awareness? Because the ego fears it. The ego wants certainty, dominance, and control. Emotions bring uncertainty, vulnerability, and complexity. For many men, showing feeling, asking for help, or pausing to reflect feel like weakness. Yet this is precisely the place where growth and real logic begin. The ego says, I must be unshakable, but emotional awareness says, I can be human and I can be wise. From a societal perspective, the myth that men must be purely logical has led to reward systems that elevate sociopathy, narcissism, and emotionally dead decision-making. Logic masquerading as strength but blind to humanity. If we treat reason and emotion as separate, we risk a world where machines, algorithms, dispassionate systems reign, but humans and humanity is lost. When men engage emotion, it doesn't weaken them, it frees them. It opens up capacity for connection, awareness, more authentic leadership. and ultimately becomes the strongest logic of all, acting from clarity, not fear, from empathy, not avoidance. If men truly want to be logical, they must begin by mastering emotional intelligence. Logic without empathy isn't strength, it's blindness with confidence. Emotion without logic becomes chaos. The sweet spot in the frontier of intelligence lies in the meeting point. Masculinity shouldn't reject emotion, but steward it. A future of masculinity is needed, where one doesn't equate dominance with worth, but values connection, resilience, and reflection. One that understands that the heart and head are not rivals, they're teammates. Next time you tell yourself, I'm being logical, pause and ask, am I being aware of what I feel? Am I being aware of what others feel? Because the next revolution of intelligence, the next evolution of manhood, won't be in the brain alone, but it will be in the heart and mind together. Thank you for watching. If this resonated, don't forget to subscribe and like for more videos